Yes,
I have
Commissioner.
another motion.
Oh, you have another motion? Yes.
And this is one that we've done every year. And again, I have to change the name from Thomas to Tilton. The motion that I would make is that all funds appropriated for all line items of the year 2014 Belknap County budget shall be non-transferable without prior approval of the Executive Committee or the full county convention in accordance with RSA 24:14. The one exception is that the commissioners are authorized to transfer funds within each department from one line item to another in an amount not to exceed $300 on any given instance. A report of said transfers submitted to the county convention monthly.
Who seconded? God presented that.
Madam Chair, in response to that, I'm wondering how many meetings Representative Tilton wants to come to it. It seems that we're going to be coming here maybe 4 or 5 times a day, if that's the case, and it's just insane. At $300 limit is, I can see not transferring from the jail to the nursing home, that broad category, but people have to be able to do what they do, and they do it better than we do because they're there, and let them do it.
Thank you. Additional, well, Representative Hewitt.
Just one thing. I don't have the statute in front of me. It's in my bag. I don't bother to get it. I think the statute says that transfers are in the purview of the executive committee, not the full delegations. So he said either the executive committee or the full delegation.
I'll agree to that amendment, and I made the mistake of reading the way Representative Thomas did in 2007. I agree, Representative Hewlett, that is the way the statute reads. I'll correct that. And I should have gone with the one that Representative Nato did in 2006. I'm not sure whether he did the same thing or not, but I'll find out. I accept that amendment. I changed my amendment, or my motion, I guess, is the way.
And the second agrees. Okay. When we're finished the voting mode, please.
We have no discussion?
I think we should have.
It is discussion of the delegation. It's a motion on the floor.
I just wonder if they would like it.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I think we ought to talk to some people that are very, very familiar with the position to know how the money works. And I would defer to Administrator Shackett and to Commissioner Nato.
Representative.
Can they be heard, please?
A motion to call the vote has been made. Is there a second?
I will comment that this is a system that Rockingham County has used for years. $300 is their limit. Hillsborough County was $0. Rockingham is $300. I know the chairman of their executive committee works well. It does not require daily visits. We used our system even though we had a higher limit. I guess I have explained to Representative Nato and showed him where he actually moved $12 from one line of maintenance to another line in maintenance in 2004. We did this for years and years and years, and it worked smoothly.
Okay, so there's,
In fairness, he was just mentioning, let him talk, please.
is it pertaining to the motion on the floor?
It certainly does, and Frank knows that $12 item was in there, but it was in there with a bunch of other items. So if he's going to say that, I wish he'd say the whole thing.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Well, these are all from different lines.
What does it matter?
I'm reading it. $675 from maintenance 0721 to 0423. $895 $25 from one line to sick pay bonus, $175, $12 for, that was the one I mentioned, the other, and then another 25. So 25 and less 3 times in the same page. And this was not hard to do. You know,
Okay.
instead of doing it, they simply put it on paper and the executive committee reviews it.
Thank you. The motion, it is clear that this is a past practice of this county. There is a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Would you kindly call the roll?
Could I ask some questions just before you do your vote?
We're in the voting mode.
Arsenal? Burchell?
Yes.
Comtois?
Yes.
Music, yes. DiMartino?
No.
Fields?
No.
Fink?
Yes.
Greenmore?
Yes.
Gulick?
No.
Holmes? Hewitt?
No.
Luther?
No.
Raymond?
No.
Sylvia?
Yes.
Tilton?
Yes.
Vadney,
Yes.
Worsman?
Yes.
So it's 10 to 6.
That being, what is the vote?
The vote was 10 to 6.
The vote being 10 to 6, motion carries. That concludes the 2014 budget vote. Representative Bullock.
Now we
Represent Commissioner Nadeau.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. Well, one question, and then I'd like to read a letter. Representative Hewitt tipped the trigger, I think, a little while ago and said something about a lawsuit. Are we going to be informed of what might have happened?
It's going to happen, yes, after we're done these pieces.
Okay. Secondly, if I could, I'd like to read a letter.
Go ahead.
This is in response to the
I apologize.
This is in response to the email that you sent in regards to the working document.
Okay.
Okay. Our management has put together a very realistic budget. The initial requests are based on professional expertise in each respective area and with significant regards to minimizing taxpayer cost.
Representative, Commissioner, could you start with the question that I had?
Well, I certainly can.
The original part of the, so the,
I will, if you want, I'll read your email. We have seen that you have been copied on the latest working document, but as chair of the convention, it is my duty to directly bring you into what has become a childish situation. I hope you can see that there is no honest effort from management to put together a realistic budget for health insurances with the voted funds. As a convention, we voted to restore a great deal of cuts to benefits, but the overwhelming cost of health insurance has reached such an unsustainable level, we have no choice but to level fund this expense. That said, in the latest working budget, the available funds for health insurance have been unfairly and unwisely allocated. For example, the administration department, a greater share of funds is budgeted unnecessarily, while departments that rightly need these funds are underfunded. This is wrong on so many levels. I ask you on behalf of the delegation to please request the administration go back to the drawing board and produce a working document as fairly as possible to spread the available health insurance funds between departments. That was your request. So if I may continue, our reductions were carefully and with full knowledge of impact to county services and citizens. Our work was accomplished through collaboration with the county's management team in open public session. And I might repeat, it was in open public session. This is the same process that has enabled commissioners to hold expenditures level for over 5 years, reducing staffing levels and making significant infrastructure improvements. The accusations made by Representative Warsman are unfounded and incorrect. As for allowing the partial funding that was voted on February 24th, not only is this, as this was not discussed, but more than one representative said the commissioners would have to figure it out. The first budget was returned to you in a very timely fashion, showed a scenario where each department was cut proportionately, and then cost of health insurance for the 2 new correctional officers was added to the correctional budget, exceeding the amount voted on the 24th. Representative Tilton was quick to point out that funding for health benefits for the 2 officers was specifically discussed and excluded from your vote. At that point, Administrative and Finance Director adjusted your working budget back to utilize the exact numbers that were actually spent in 2013. This is the detail that exactly makes up the number suggested by Representative Burchell and approved by the delegation. There is no greater share of funds budgeted unnecessarily in administration. The lack of funding is spread across all departments, and in fact, administration is more significantly underfunded than any of the others. Your continued efforts to impact Administrator Shackett by singling her out and attempting to reduce her salary based on nothing more than your own personal opinion has not gone unnoticed. It would be helpful if you could keep your personal feelings separate from the public's business. The delegation is aware that the county is contractually obligated to pay roughly $3.1 million for health insurance coverage in 2014. To knowingly and intentionally underfund nearly $540,000 of that obligation with no plans on how to implement such a radical cut, and then claim no responsibility for your actions is certainly not acted in the public's best interest. We have continued to provide you with information to cater to your attempts to micromanage, to respond to your conjecture and accusations of both staff and to the elected officials. We sit here meeting after meeting while you misinform the public and each other, ignoring anyone who doesn't support your view, and then to take action based on false information. This county's organization has experienced dramatic changes since 2005. Change that has been positive and beneficial to the public. The world has changed, the county has changed. We do not reward simply doing things the way they were done or always have been done. We recognize the need for continued improvement. I would also like to point out that the arbitrary and reckless cuts to the county budget will unfortunately result in employee layoff. As we stated before, reducing health insurance costs by over $500,000 in 2014 is not an option. The Board of Commissioners have already are doing a very good job on reducing employees where possible without impacting county services. Your budget does not allow for that kind of thoughtful and responsible management. The Commissioners' recommended budget would result in a county tax increase of $11 per average county taxpayer. Your desire to avoid that $11 cost by diminishing county services, avoiding much-needed improvements, and destroying the morale of other county employees is unfortunate. So in answer to your request, no, we will not try to guess again as to what you want. We do not operate based on fairness between departments. We operate based on priorities, performance, and the provision of necessary services. We have already presented a budget that shows the exact amount needed for each department. Thank you.
Thank you. So for the record, for background, so individuals would understand, the original, the first budget that came back to us as a result of our last vote had allocated roughly $40,000 more than what was pertained in the vote that was taken by this delegation. A new request was made of the administrator to allocate the available funds, which was the $2,594,000, amongst the different departments. And the next spreadsheet that we received back was exactly level funding department by department what was spent in 2013 for health insurance. For example, one of the most glaring ones that was over budgeted for health insurance was the activities department, and is one of the reasons that I would suspect that Representative Sylvia made his motion to remove the money from the activities department to appropriate less in the activities department and appropriate more in the corrections department, as that was the department that needed. So to give the public some background. Yes, Representative Tilton.
Let me reinforce. The motion that we made last time, Representative Burchell, was to fund overall health care is exactly the 2013 level. 2013, what actually was spent was less than what we appropriated last year, though we heard last year at this time the same stories about how we were $500,000 under. So actually what was spent was less. So that was what we started with, and we said between now and the 1st of July, when the rates finally go up, or do go up, yes, we hope something gets done to address this. We've seen nothing in the 18 months of this term. The allocation then was not done based on personnel changes and the fact there were 2 more full-time salaries available in corrections and lower in other places. It was right across the board, and the activities department was glaring. The commissioners asked for $38,175 in the activities department. When they reallocated between last meeting and now, they came in with $56,304. That's $18,000 over. So the change that Representative Sylvia proposed and we agreed on was reduce that $16,000 and provide it to corrections, hopefully to provide health care for the new corrections officers. We were expecting the commissioners to do that. Why? Because we've asked for by the health care distribution by single coverage, 2-person, and family plans since December, 7 times. We got the data tonight. So we couldn't do anything except slightly address the corrections and the activities department. That's about it. So other than that, we're at the mercy. We expected the commissioners to use some judgment. But,
okay. Representative Raymond.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I request that the comments by the commissioner be put in the minutes so that the public will have access to them on the webpage.
Is that a motion?
That would be a motion.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and a second that the comments of the commissioner be admitted into the record and attached to the minutes of tonight's meeting. Yes.
I don't know who it came from.
Oh, you do too much.
Is it from one commissioner, or is it from all 3? Did they unanimously put this letter together? Simple question.
And attitude.
So the question was asked by Representative Sylvia, and the answer was that Commissioner Nadeau acted on his own to respond to this, to the email from my email address to all commissioners. There is a motion and a second on the floor. Is there
Who was
addition?
the second?
Several people.
That was Luther.
Okay, Representative Raymond made the motion. Who made the second, please?
Luther.
Representative Luther made the second.
Maybe we'll let that scoop.
So this is from Commissioner Nato, correct?
Right, a response from Commissioner Nato to Chairman Worsman's email regarding
May we have a roll call on this, please?
the health insurance allocation from the board teacher.
That was,
Okay, a roll call has been requested.
Virgil? No. Comtois? Cormier, no. DiMartino?
Yes.
Fields?
Yes.
Fink? No. Flanders, Greenmore?
Yes.
Julik?
Yeah.
Holmes?
Yes.
Hewitt?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Sylvia?
No.
Tilton?
No.
Badney?
No.
Worsman?
No.
So it's 8-8.
Motion fails. Okay.
I have my question. Evidently, I'm new to this. And how can they not be included in the minutes?
They will absolutely be included.
I mean,
They're part of the record.
they're part of the record.
Yeah.
You can say don't include them in the minutes all you want. It's kind of like, well, never mind.
Put in newspaper. Not include, minutes should show who spoke and whether they're for or against. And that's essentially what minutes are supposed to. I've heard Representative Hewlett proclaim that very much.
Thank you.
Croc TV.